Why rice? What do you think? Do you think the Portuguese brought the rice over, and that's why you eat a feijoada, or what's the?
Well, I don't know where comes the rice from, habit to eat rice, but probably they brought back from Japan because the Portuguese, by the time of the colonization, Portugal was the first country to reach Japan, and they have the commercial rights to with the island of Japan. So they were bringing in some things to Japan and vice versa, right? So uh, today Japanese eats a lot of tempura that was actually done by the Portuguese over there. So and probably that is what came the rice and rice. Rice is a really good source of starch, right? So and carbohydrate. So and it is easy to cook too.
A big part. Speaking of just colonization, a big part of Brazil's, you know, population is very mixed, right? Would you say that's a big part of the culture as well? Since we have,
Yes, yes. Brazil is a melting pot of cultures, like even the U.S. Like I said, we started with the Portuguese colonizing Brazil. Um, that was the first wave, and then there is the indigenous people, the native Brazilians, also is part of the mix. We have the Africans that came as a slave and continues to be there. Today, they are the majority of the population. Probably around half of the population are blacks and mixed black. Um, there is in the due to starvation in Europe and wars in Europe, there was also a mass immigration of Spaniards, Italians, and Germans and Japanese in Brazil. So Brazil today is the uh, biggest population of Japanese outside Japan is in Brazil, and so we have all this. And lately, we have receiving a lot of Venezuelans, Nigerians, and the Koreans in Brazil, and so we have this melting pot, and also Middle Easterns too. So in Brazil, in a city like São Paulo, you probably can have a food experience with for basically all kinds of food you can imagine, from Indian to Mexican for Middle Eastern and Japanese and you name it, Italians, Portuguese, Spanish, uh, and so it's really a really big melt pot of
culture.
culture. Yeah.
I know it's a little old conversation, but who taught you to cook? Was it your dad or your mom?
Actually, I started when I was young. My mom never cooked. My father taught us how to cook because he believed that everybody needs to know at least the basics of how to do anything, and cooking was one of these skills. So he always thought that was a good skill to have, like to know how to fry an egg, how to boil egg, how to do rice, how to prepare beans, and how to fry a steak or a chicken. And so you probably would not be good, but you at least would not starve. So
You wouldn't
uh,
feed yourself on ramen, cup noodles, stuff like that.
no, it's no, it is like you have to actually know how to prepare, how to and basic safety requirements, like how to turn on the gas and turn off the gas, and how to boil the water, to take care of the oven, so you don't have any misfire or and so you learn how to do it. And so was a skill that we actually learned really young. Probably I was 9, 10 years old, and we were already cooking everybody in the house.
Culturally speaking, is it usually the dad that teaches how to cook, or is it?
No, normally it's the mom or grandmother. That normally is not, but like I said, my mom didn't have the habit. My father was not a good cook, but he would cook anyway. So he would prepare a lot of things, and he was not rich into good preparations of food. When I was growing up, the youngest brother of my mom used to live with us in the house because my grandfather died when he was really young, and so my uncle went to live with us. So my father would be like a father figure, and my mom would help raising him. And so this uncle of mine, he really liked to cook, and he traveled a lot, and he learned how to cook different dishes, and he was really curious about when he was in France, when he was in Europe or the US. He always would go to the kitchen or the restaurants. He would go and ask for recipes and learn how to cook, and we kind of got that habit of experiment and trying new things, and it became something that we really like. Today his son has a really good restaurant in Santos, that is my hometown, and they have really nice food over there, and he continues the habit to travel around and learn how to do different dishes and ways to cook.
I'm just going back to feijoadas for a second. What other variations are there of feijoada? Is the recipe sort of set in stone?
No, nothing is set in stone. There is different ways. Like I said, the traditional way it is cooked during the whole night. They use this, I call it cheap cuts or poor cuts. But today you use, kind of premium meats in order to do it. I think it's a matter of
Are the black beans?
always black beans. There is a dish similar to feijoada in France that is called a cassoulet, and they do with the white beans, and they cook it also with this poor cuts and all. But the feijoada is basically some dry meats and some poor meats, but again, it's everybody, every family, everyone do his own twist into the dish.
Do you think Brazil is mostly a sweet or sour taste bud?
No, it's not sour. It call it
Salty.
no, not salty, savory.
Mm.
It's not savory or sweet.
Mm.
Brazil, it is basically savory, but we also have some really sweet sweet tooth. Our sweets are really sweet. We have this, we call it pudim. That is actually what the Mexicans call it flan, and is making sweetened condensed milk and eggs, and it's really sweet. And it's make also it cooked on slow heat, and also they make a sauce of pure sugar, almost a caramel of sugar to go with this flan. And we also have the habit to use sweet rice. That is actually, again, it is the rice cooked in condensed milk and milk. So and some cinnamon. So it's really sweet. And probably some of Brazilian creation. I don't know if it's actually Brazilian or not, but this is something that It's pretty common to eat in Brazil. It's something called brigadeiro. That is little balls of condensed milk and chocolate, cook it together, and then you make it like in these little balls after you cook, and then you put some chocolate sprinkles on that, and we give that in for kids in parties. So it's really common, but it's really sweet. You know, foodie experts probably twist their eyes into this extremely sweet stuff that we eat.